noticed it more than ever when I was helping the guys prepare, getting their gloves on for the sparring match. I'm not gonna throw anyone under the bus, but I did find it very necessary to make this video. As you guys know, the most common break in a boxer's hand, it's actually called the boxer's break. It's in between this region, between these two digits right here, but it extends past the phalanges into this region. I've been very fortunate to have had not a clean break, but a partial break on this side on my right hand. This was when I was about, good Lord, let's see, almost 15. Yes, almost 15. I was still at the Colton Boxing Club in Southern California. And I recall vividly speaking with a great trainer back in the days by the name of Lupe Saavedra, and explaining to me the importance of hand wrapping. And it stuck with me, and I kind of took it for granted because I never really passed down the knowledge. You guys got to understand, the whole coaching for me is recent. I was supposed to fight last year, and I was supposed to fight in the Masters division. Unfortunately, I did not get the medical write-off from my neurosurgeon, and that's a story for a different time. But after I saw the wrap, I noticed that it was not very conducive to where it would actually offer some protection. And I also noticed another gentleman who didn't have any hand wraps at all. And I was, whoa, granted, he's fairly new in the sport. But I asked him, I said, hey man, do you ever wrap your hands? I said, no, And I said, why? I said, I don't know, it takes time, it takes this and that. He had a plethora of excuses. And this one gentleman, Raul, came up to me and said, hey coach, we've never had a formal lesson. I said, you know what, man? That's as basic and simple as it sounds. I've only been here, a very short amount of time, but I've noticed a lot of people use these quick wraps. They just go over and they Velcro. Nothing wrong with them, man. They're great. So why I'm making this video is that instead of going through and telling everyone, teaching them, I'm gonna try to capitalize on this moment and start a quick little tutorial session on how to do hand wrap. There's all sorts of forms, all sorts of ways to do this. This is going to be, I call this the 4-3-4 rule. And it's been working for me. Like I said, there's all sorts of and tons of ways of doing this. Hopefully, I'm using this little action camera because it's got a wide field of view, and it can hopefully capture everything. And you guys can see how I go about it. Okay, I'm watching myself here. Cool. So it's very, let's see if I can get the better angle right there. Boom. So they've got a little loop right here. These are made by Ringside. Okay, you're gonna go 1, 2, overlap right there, 3, 4. Okay, once you do that, spread your hands. And now you're going to shoot over the thumb right here. Open your thumb up. Boom. And you go one more time around the wrist. All right. Boom. Now you're going to go over the knuckles. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hands spread out. Okay. And right here, once you go over the knuckles, then you're going to go under. And you're going to run it through this finger right here. And boom. See that? 1, 2. Spread out your fingers like this. Then you go to the next one. 1 and 2. As you come around, you go over the wrist once again. Okay? Then you hook again. As you're coming around. Boom, the last finger, okay? Okay, now, once you go there, then you go 1, 2, 3, and then you go back to the wrist. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so if you noticed, initially I went 4 times around, 4 times over the top, and then I went through the knuckles, and then I went 3 over the top and ended it with 3. So that's why I call it the 4-3 method. Okay, after it's all said and done, you have some spacing right here. You just kind of open it up. You got a nice, beautiful open hand right there. Nice loop over the thumb. Some people go twice over the thumb. And the primary function of when you punch is hitting with these 2 knuckles. So the other thing I would advise is when you punch is to turn in that punch where these 2 knuckles are making the connection. The break happens when you hit like this or when you're twisting, and there's nothing wrong with this jab. This is really good for opening up the guard. You know, when people are closed like this, notice that there is a smaller diameter. So my hand is wider like this, and it's much more narrower like this. So if I'm opening up the guard, boom, splitting the guard, nothing wrong with that. It's not meant to be a power punch. It's meant to open up the guard and then come in with the 2. So I hope this helps. There's plenty of other ways to wrap the hand. You know, there's several ways, but this is the one that you know, it's not complicated. It's not, obviously this is not the way I wrap a hand when someone is getting ready to fight. That's a whole nother different method, you know, but this should get you through. These are made by Ringside. I hope this helps you guys. Okay, over and out. Take care.